up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
No, it's Superman. Hi, welcome to Bomb Squad Matinee. I'm your host and master of ceremony, Tanner Richard Kraft, and with me I have...
Hi, I'm a Tokusatsu fan who's very confused by the liberties they took with Ultraman in this picture.
I'm Cody Sweeza, president of the Guy Gardner fan club.
I'm Rein. I was trying to think of a joke about why I'm all messy and disheveled.
I think it's very funny you're wearing a Dragon Ball shirt.
Oh wait,
fitting.
yeah, I have a yeah, it's fitting. That is why I'm wearing it, definitely. All right.
Especially because they kind of low-key made Superman a little Goku-y in this picture.
I was going to get to that. Don't spoil
Actually, I
me.
have all of Rain's notes right here. Let's read them off one by one. Number 1, want to fuck Miss Tessmacher. Don't know what that's about.
I don't even know who that. I forget who that. Which lady?
Sorry, Mutant Toes. Lex Luthor's girlfriend.
Oh.
Miss Tessmacher!
Rein is the Jimmy Olsen of this friend group.
Is that true?
Not at all.
How do you do it, Jimmy?
What? Sorry. So if you can't tell by Cody's cape, Tim's sweatshirt, my shirt, and kind of Rain's shirt, we're talking about the latest comic book blockbuster sensation sweeping the nation. St. Louis's own James Gunn's latest film, Superman 2025. We are talking about the newest Superman movie, which is fitting. It's our second time talking about a Superman movie. Being informed that first episode still hasn't been released yet. So this is actually our first time talking about a Superman movie. And along those veins, I have the... God, I really hope this was not the warm-up question on the one we recorded all those years ago. Okay, thank you. But along those lines, our warm-up question today is to get us in a very super mood. What is your history with Superman? Rein, we'll start with you.
Awesome. So yeah, I think my history was a little interesting. So like I as a kid, I mentioned like numerous times on the podcast that I'm like I went through my edgy phase very early on, and so like as by extension of that, I just hated characters like Superman and the Fantastic Four. I was like, these guys are dorks. Like, you're not Carnage. You're not cool like Carnage and Ghost Rider. I go a little too far with that because I loved like Iron Man and the Flash a lot too in particular. But yeah, general rule of thumb, if they weren't badass enough, then I just thought they were dorks. Superman included. I have a very core memory of visiting Six Flags as a kid, and it's like a bunch of DC stuff. And there was like some sort of like Batman toy I really wanted, and my mom was like, "But the Superman toy's on sale." I'm like, "Superman." I was like 6 or something. I was like, "No, I want the Batman one. Superman's a dork." But as I matured, got older, I still love superhero stuff as much as I did as a kid. Admittedly, as uncool as that makes me sound, but
Virgin.
But
I'm related.
Like leading up to Man of Steel coming out, I was like, I should give I should give that Superman guy a reevaluation. And leading up to the movie, if my memory serves, I mean, it's like 12 years ago at this point, but I think that's around when I read All-Star Superman, or maybe a little bit after that. But eventually, I got into the character really. Admittedly, Max Landis, like his videos on Superman, also were something that like got me into the character. They're, in my defense, they are, they are good breakdowns of the character. I think American Alien is good. I can't deny that.
The American Alien is pretty good.
Yeah. But anyway, just I guess in my middle of high school is when I started to reevaluate the character, started to see the value in him and the value of a kind of a character like him who's just a good guy, and how there's how there's value there, and how he's certainly not boring like a lot of people tend to think, and how I used to think. And now he's my favorite superhero, probably. And so yeah, look at my character growth, my character arc. All right, I feel like anything else I would say is just would be me repeating myself, so I'll end it there.
We stand. Good stuff. Good stuff. All-Star Superman mention. Woo! Cody, I'm really curious, considering, as far as I know, Superman wasn't in King Kong, so I'm really curious to hear what your history with Superman is.
You didn't watch the cut I watched.
He was not in King Kong, and he, as much I searched far and wide, he's not in Maccabee either. Big bummer.
Didn't look hard enough.
Man. Like when I read this question, I'm kind of just like, I don't know. He's always been there. It's Superman. I feel like he's just synonymous with like superhero. Guy in a cape flying around. Like everyone knows Superman.
I mean, superheroes are probably called superheroes because
it's Superman.
Superman is called Superman.
Exactly. So it's just like I didn't like engage with him the same way like as with like, Batman or Spider-Man and any other superhero. He was just kind of always there. I think that the most attention I ever gave him was when he was in fucking Death Battle, probably. And by the way, Superman sweeps Goku. This is a dumb conversation. Anyways.
True!
But, you know, I always knew him. I always respected him. I've read a comic here and there. I mean, problem is, by the time I was, like, growing up and, like, getting interested in, like, things that weren't, like, Mario, in the 2010s, like, the only Superman thing was, like, the DCEU, and I wasn't particularly interested in the DCEU. I wonder why. I don't know. But, I don't know. He's there. He's cool. That's all I gotta say.
You weren't a big fan of Batman versus Superman?
I never saw it because I didn't care.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
Good call.
I rewatched the Batman v Superman recently, and to this day, it's one of the weirder relationships I've had with a movie, because there are these parts where I'm like, wow, amazing. And then there are the other parts where I'm like, wow, I want to kill myself.
There's fragments of a good movie in there.
Yeah, yeah. Aura Man. Tim, what's your history with the Big Blue?
Yeah, so I guess I would say probably not too dissimilar from Rein. My sort of history with Superman, I feel like as a child I engaged with him more peripherally than directly. Like, I caught bits and pieces of Superman the Animated Series when it was on Kids WB, but I was watching more of, like, Batman and Batman Beyond and Static Shock. So seeing him more when he was, like, going on to their shows to help them out than necessarily watching his show. But, you know, then growing up later in life, I would go on to watch Superman the Animated Series and, the Justice League animated series, which I wasn't able to watch as a kid because it was on Cartoon Network and they didn't have that channel. So I just couldn't watch it, but watched it as an adult. It's a good show. And he's more or less the lead in that show, at least most episodes. It's enough of an ensemble that, you know, everybody gets their time to shine. But, yeah, that's sort of how I started my journey with Superman in adulthood. I've only read one, like, Superman comic, and that is Alex Ross's Kingdom Come.
Kingdom Come is great.
Yeah, I like that comic a lot. I used to be a big fan of Alex Ross's art style before AI started trying to ape it. Now I can't not see it when I look at his art. Hate how we can't have nice things.
Don't make me cry, Tim.
Boo AI. Boo.
Boo AI.
Usually every time I see AI try to imitate Alex Ross artwork, the thing it gets it wrong is that it makes it way more shiny than Ross's work.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, Kingdom Come, great comic. I also really love the 1940s Fleischer animated shorts, with the caveat that some of them have some stuff that is not great. There's some racist ass World War II propaganda shit in some of those episodes, but like it's still not nearly as bad as the Batman one. God, that shit was awful. But yeah, and then I watched Man of Steel shortly after it came out, and I didn't think he was great. And then a few years ago, when we did our episode on the Richard Donner Superman movie, which may or may not come out at some point on this channel, that was my first time watching that movie, and watching that movie made me realize, oh, yeah, Man of Steel is fucking dog shit. Specifically, the color grade of Man of Steel is so bad as compared to how immaculate the color in that Richard Donner movie is. Good God. Yeah, the Donner film, incredible color, incredible set design, incredible like cinematography, matte paintings. It's just a gorgeous fucking movie. And I was looking forward to this one. It seemed, by all accounts, to be a step in the right direction after the end of the DCU, so I was just interested to see what it would be, and I'll tell you what I thought about it after a couple more people talk. Back to you, Tam.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, my time to shine. Hello. Wow, where do I start? I have said numerous times on the show before on various episodes that if I were to pick a favorite superhero, it'd be Spider-Man. Because it is Spider-Man. Spider-Man's fucking everybody's favorite superhero. It's a boring answer, I know. It's been my favorite since I was a kid, and that has never changed. My second favorite superhero, however, is Superman. I fucking love Superman when I was a kid. A big reason why I love Superman was, you know, kind of like the typical silly kid shit with it, which was like, oh, look, he's so powerful. He can do all this crazy cool stuff. I like his costume. He can fly. Holy shit, he can fly. Holy shit, he can fly. Really like that he could fly. I've had such a fascination with flying
pretty cool.
As a power. If I'm ever asked, like, you know, that classic icebreaker question, if you could have one superpower, what power would you pick? I always say flight.
Well, Mike,
I want to feel the clouds between my knees. I know that's not possible. Whatever. Shut up.
I'd slam into a building if I flew, dude. I would never do that.
Worth.
well, like, didn't Superman wasn't he originally like not able to fly? Just like
Originally, he
really
could not
high.
fly. Okay, if you want to get really technical, so this Superman was always from another planet. That has been consistent since his original story. However, the thing about how he gets his powers from Earth's yellow sun and the radiation of the yellow sun, that was a thing that happened a little later. Originally, the reason why Superman could jump really far, because originally his powers were just jumping really far, super strength. And the reason he could do that was because Earth had much weaker gravity than Krypton.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was the reason why he had his powers originally. The other shit came later.
A lot of shit came later.
Much shit came later.
I think they were trying to ape Shazam.
No, maybe when they gave him flight, maybe, because Shazam was a very big competitor to Superman when he was introduced.
Yeah.
Anyway, as a kid, I loved Superman. I remember watching those original Christopher Reeve Superman movies over and over again. My favorite was 2 as a kid, but I also loved 3 a lot as a kid. Richard Pryor and all. Rewatch those movies all the time. My love for Superman was really ignited, though, when Superman Returns was coming out. Because to this day, I think the Superman Returns costume is maybe the best a Superman costume has looked on screen. Even though arguably it can be traced to the origin of superhero costumes and movies being overly textured. and also the S's on the back of the boots are kind of stupid. But even with all that being said, I love that. I had a toy from that movie that was like 3 or 4 feet. It was like one of those really big, tall action figures, and I loved that toy. I wish I still had that toy. But as I grew older into becoming a teenager, and I started reading comic books, you know, I sort of just kind of went back and went, well, I have to read all of the truly great comic books. So, you know, I went back, you know, I read a bunch of, you know, fantastic comic books. One of them was Kingdom Come. I was a really big fan of the Red Sun storyline, despite the I wasn't as leftist as a teenager. I really love Superman for all seasons, the death of Superman, and the reign of the Supermen stuff afterwards is really great. Superman's Secret Origin is fantastic, even though God bless their souls, I can't remember the artist's name. That artist is really bad at drawing children. You know, Superman, Last Son of Krypton, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, which was one of Alan Moore's takes on Superman. I mean, I was reading all kinds of fantastic comic books like The Dark Knight Returns, Batman Year One, Ultimate Spider-Man, The Death of Gwen Stacy, the Lantern Wars arc from Green Lantern. I was reading all kinds of comic books at the time, and obviously this is around the time I read Watchmen, which is not only my favorite superhero comic book, it is not only my favorite comic book, it is my favorite book, period. I fucking love Watchmen. That being said, around the time I read Watchmen, I also read a story by the man who is arguably the single greatest living comic book writer, at least in this comic book superhero space. That was a book written by Grant Morrison. That book was called All-Star Superman. Obviously, Watchmen is my favorite superhero comic book of all time. But if you told me I wasn't allowed to pick Watchmen, there's a very short list of books I would tell you. But I think the top of that list would be All-Star Superman. All-Star Superman captures the character so well in its entirety. Not just the hope core shit, though I love the hopefulness of Superman's character, but also the melancholy of Superman. All-Star Superman is, this is going to sound like a spoiler, but this is revealed in like the first 10 pages of the book. Superman, All-Star Superman, is a story about Superman dying. And what does Superman do with his last days on Earth when he knows he's dying? It does a lot of interesting takes on the Superman lore, but more importantly, it captures the character in its entirety. It has these powerful, hopeful moments. It has these powerful moments of lonely isolation. It just kind of nails Superman, and that is what made me fall in love with the character as an adult. Around the time I read All-Star Superman was right up into the lead up to Man of Steel. And I remember when I read All-Star Superman, there's this line in the book from Jor-El, Superman's father, that says, bear with me a moment, I actually want to get this quote right. God damn it, where the fuck is... Here we go. There's a quote from All-Star Superman from Jor-El that goes like this. You have given them an ideal to aspire to, embodied their highest aspirations. They will race and stumble and fall and crawl and curse, and finally, they will join you in the sun, Kal-El. They will stumble, they will fall, but in time, they will join you in the sun. In time, you will help them accomplish wonders. Which to me is like the quintessential Superman quote from any comic book. And when the Man of Steel trailers featured Jor-El saying that shit line for line, I remember thinking, Man of Steel's gonna be the greatest fucking movie ever. And in my defense, the third trailer for Man of Steel, specifically the third trailer, might be one of the greatest short films ever made. The marketing for Man of Steel was incredible. Movie disappointed me. I mean, I liked it at the time. I've grown a complicated relationship with it since. I still like it. I still think there are parts it gets right. I think there are parts it does really well. And then I think there are parts that are done very poorly. I think most of the flashback stuff really works. And then there are these little great moments like, the final line of the movie where Lois Lane says, "Welcome to the planet" to Clark Kent as like a double entendre. I like that. I think that's cute. I really like that. But even then, the flashback stuff with the way they handle Pocket. I'm going on a fucking tangent here. Point is, I've always loved Superman. I've had a complicated relationship with Superman. 1978 Superman the movie is one of my favorite movies ever made. And I was really excited for this movie. I remember when they announced that James Gunn was going to be writing this movie, I was really excited. And then when it was announced that he was going to be directing this movie, my hype started bubbling up. The first trailer came out, as you guys may know, or at least Tim may know. When we all got together to see Sonic 3 in a private theater, I asked Joe Vrenick, who was projectionist at the Alamo, to play the Superman trailer again after the movie. And he did. The hype just started building from there. Did it live up to the hype? Did it live up to my expectations? Keep watching to find out. Because now we're going to talk about our overall thoughts on Superman.
Get out of here!
We're gonna get this out of the way first. Cody, we'll start with you.
You're gonna start
What are your
with
overall
me?
thoughts on Superman?
I'm the worst person to start.
That's
with,
exactly
dude.
why
And
it must
I know
be
why
you.
you did this.
Cody, you will race and stumble, you will fall and crawl and
Cody.
curse, but finally you will
Cody.
join Kal-El in the sun.
Cody,
Yeah.
would you really rather go like last, like when it's like
Yeah.
Do you want to follow
absolutely.
me?
I
You
would
want to
Yeah.
follow me because you do not want to follow me.
I would
We're
love to be
helping you.
last, but if you're not going to let me, is the thing I know. So.
Yeah, Cody,
We're
you're
not.
going first. There's
Alright.
no choice.
we're gonna push you and your cape's
Alrighty.
gonna keep you flying or something?
I'm gonna give you a wedgie
I'm-
with your cape.
I'm gonna... So, as you guys can tell by our little banter here, I might have a differing opinion from the crowd here. Because, and to be fair, I did see this movie a week after.
All he had said was, "I did see this movie."
Hey, I did see it, and I did see it a week after. So all of the hype and acclaim was already like in the air, which might have messed it up for me, but not. I don't think it made a difference. I'll just get this out. I'm stumbling. I'm wasting my time. I don't understand what the hype's all about. I think the movie is fine. Is a perfectly fine superhero movie, but I don't think it's any more than that. And the weird thing is, like, I just don't know why I feel this way. I watched it with my friends. They both loved it. They both loved it a lot, and I just never really felt engaged with the movie. Not to say there's nothing good with the movie. There's a lot of good characters. Guy Gardner's fucking awesome, dude. Well, actually, fuck the movie. I'm gonna talk about Guy Gardner. What a genius way to, give somebody the power of willpower and then make them have an ego, which makes perfect sense because they have to buy their own hype. That's willpower. I'm sorry. I'll stop talking about Guy Gardner. But all the side characters are done really well because James Gunn knows how to write really weird characters. Mr. Terrific is great. Hawk Girl is pretty good. Superman fans here, does she scream like that all the time? Is that just a thing she does, or is that just a thing in this movie? I'm asking people in this podcast. This is an open-ended question. I mean, that was
most of my familiarity
Hawkgirl.
with Hawkgirl is from the Justice League cartoon.
Yeah,
and I
she
don't
didn't
really
just
remember
scream like that.
screaming like that, but I don't hate it.
Yeah,
I
Dominic
just
Hawkgirl
thought
is
it
a
was-
blind spot for me.
I just thought it was funny, and yeah, most of the side characters I thought were interesting. It's a bright and colorful movie. Hits all the beats. I think as a Superman movie, I think it's good. I mean, granted, there's not a lot of Superman films you can compare it to, especially recently. So, like, there's like, there ain't too many. But, so, I really wanted to get down to why I thought this movie wasn't like great, like everyone else said it was. And I got two points. Two points. They might not be good points, but they're points I'm going to make regardless. Firstly, I feel like I'm watching like a part 2. And obviously James Gunn has gone on record saying he doesn't want to like do like the origin story stuff for like the biggest superheroes. Like, yeah, that's not his thing, and that's fine. But like, I don't know. Everything like was like pre-established. Like we've already been here before, to the point where just like I didn't feel like I just felt confused. I didn't, and it was hard to like get engaged because I feel like I was like going through this plot of like, oh, Superman's super popular, but oh, everyone hates Superman now because of this message leaking out, and I'm just like, I don't really feel engaged because I don't really know this Superman and this world, and it just feels like a weird introductory to just get thrown right into things. Maybe I'm just not a fan of that kind of stuff. Maybe that's just a me thing. The other thing I didn't like, I just don't think I like James Gunn helming Superman. I think I just don't like him. And it's not like I don't like James Gunn. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is fan-fucking-tastic. All the Guardians of the Galaxies are. So, it's not like he can't write. I think my problem is, like, he could write really good, like, quirky, like, underdogs. I just feel like Superman, you just need, like, a certain something. I can't put my finger on it, but whatever that certain something is, I don't think it's here. I didn't like the way Superman was written here. I'm glad he's, all hopeful. He's, like, helping people out, but, like, I feel like the scenes where he's portrayed as hopeful are done in, like, a very kind of, like, look, guys, he's hopeful. Look, this is Superman kind of way. Instead of kind of just, like, taking in the vibe. Like, when he saved the scroll, I thought that was neat. When he, like, pushed the dog out of the way, I thought that was, it was funny. That scene, like, near the middle half, where, like, he's in the river of, like, CGI gloop, and he's, like, holding the baby up, I was just like, okay, I get it. He's a really good person. I know he would make a baby, like, safe, but it just felt a little exhausting at that point in time. And I just don't think a lot of the humor works for me, especially with, like, any scene with Crypto. I'm not a Crypto guy. Sorry.
All right, that's it. Removing you from the call right now. Matter of fact, actually, we're gonna fix this.
Wait, yeah, Tanner, I have a request. I think it's imperative that you guys both drive to Cody's.
This is so funny because, like, his audio is still being recorded. Whatever he's screaming right now is still going to be on the podcast. To those listening, I have server muted Cody so we can't hear him.
He's in the Phantom Zone.
What's really funny is Cody.
Yeah.
He's a server admin. He has the ability to overwrite this. Oh, now he's doing it. I can see his mouse moving.
Tanner, you need to shave Cody's head. This is clearly the way he deserves. At least
we need to shave his head. All right, we're gonna make him Lex Luthor. Yo, the way he be talking about Superman, maybe Cody is Lex Luthor. I hate that he helps people. I hate the fucking dog. All right, he's out of timeout. Let's unmute him.
I want you to know I did not make a single noise that entire time.
Oh, really?
So there's no audio you are working with. Yeah, I just did that. Maybe I am Lex Luthor. Maybe I'm just a big old hater with no hope and joy in my heart. Lex Luthor's pretty funny in this movie. Knowing that Lex Luthor was like a rejected Superman casting for this movie,
that's perfect.
Adds to it. It adds to like the anger, but like, yeah. Overall, I think my overall like end of statement, so I don't keep getting mean looks right now, is that I think since it was Superman, like the biggest superhero, I was expecting like a lot more than just a relatively average superhero film. If this was like any other superhero, I'd be like, oh yeah, that was pretty good. But I don't know, maybe my expectations were a lot higher because it was Superman. That's my end. I feel like I should be wearing. I should be wearing this cape. I don't think I'm allowed to anymore.
Take that shit off.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to.
Super fraud.
Yeah.
Super
Cody
Stolen
is
valor.
hashtag super shit.
Stolen valor.
Cody is one of those fucking monkeys in Lux
No!
Pocket Dimension.
Oh, I forgot about that scene. That scene was so stupid.
Yeah, it was awesome. What do you?
Yeah. You idiot.
Hold on,
Move on.
he
Give me
he
this.
loses talking privileges again.
No, I'm taking
Server
off.
mute. I've given myself too much power with this. I can't like. This is a bit I can only do once, or else it's gonna get old.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on from the guy who was so disappointed that he didn't like it that much to the guy that was a fan of it, but as far as I can tell, was also still kind of disappointed. Or maybe I shouldn't go to him because it looks like he's moving.
Sorry, there's been a lot of noise, so I'm trying to make the room quieter. But anyway, I'm ready to go. Let me just.
We're watching Rein's Paranormal Activity right now. No, this is Rein's Blair Witch Project. Rein, give us the nostril shot.
I haven't seen the Blair Witch Project.
Show us them nose hairs. Objectifying men.
So in
catcalling
short,
them by
I was a
saying,
big fan
show
of
us
this
men
movie.
hairs.
Superman, as I said earlier, my favorite superhero, James Gunn, probably my favorite modern blockbuster director. I'd say that's accurate. But I can't deny I came out of the film feeling a little bit conflicted. I haven't had a chance to give it a rewatch, but I imagine I'll appreciate it more when I do. Sorry. Fun facts. I wrote a lot for this. Usually I don't write much. I usually just mumble out some thoughts. But I did not get a chance to practice this or anything, so it'll be a different kind of spewing of words.
Damn, y'all practice?
I'm sorry, Bennett just texted me asking, is it too late to join?
Now you can replace me.
As long as we still have 4 squares.
Yeah, someone has to leave is the thing.
I think I'm gonna be exiled.
No, Cody, you gotta stay in. Go on,
Anyway,
Rein.
For the views.
I've only got a chance to see this once. I liked it, but I just felt there's just something odd. I don't know that I was feeling. But I will clarify that my favorite Gunn film is Guardians 2, and I came out of that one feeling more or less the same way, and learned to really love it on rewatches. So I strongly suspect something like that's going to happen with this one. Another thing also is, as I was reflecting on it, I realized I was kind of, I came in with just a, unrealistic sense of hype. I've been hyped for this pretty much the moment it was announced. That first trailer did not help with the ramping up the hype. But I don't know. You pretty much every movie sets to fail when you're kind of just hoping it's going to change your life and be this pivotal moment in your life journey. But so I can't really fault the film for not achieving that. Especially since this movie does so much of what I wanted from a Superman movie, and in parentheses, if I'm being honest, what I always want to do if I ever made a Superman movie. So thanks James, stealing my thunder that I never did in the first place. How dare you? I don't know, a good example. I like how Superman's role in this world is kind of it. I'm not the first person to say this, but I still appreciate it, so I'm still going to say it. How his role in this story is kind of an inverse of Kingdom Come, where instead of being the old man superhero coming to show all these young whippersnappers how they used to superhero in his day, how he's the young guy breaking into the establishment of the show, the necessity of altruism in a world designed against it. I deeply appreciate how this Superman isn't, I guess what you could call safely heroic, and by that I mean we show Clark stands up for what's right, period. Not even when it goes against ethics manufactured by the state. I absolutely love. I know I won't be the last person to say this, but I absolutely love how this is knowing that this Superman would be pro-Palestine. If he existed in the real world. In fact, I surprisingly didn't get that emotional or worked up through any of Clark's personal struggles. Not that it didn't work, it was a flat line for me, just that it didn't get me worked up, really. The eyes were not watering, but what really did get me worked up and what really did get those eyes wet was, pretty much everything to do with the war subplot. I think my favorite scene was probably the interview scene between him and him and Lois Lane. I think he just really encapsulates it well. Just why these struggles should not be controversial, at least nowhere near to the extent that they are. Although I do know my girlfriend had hoped there would have been more of an emphasis on that, as well as the immigration subtext, which, very fair. Something I grew to appreciate, after as this movie has grown on me, was not simply seeing like Superman rescue these people from the genocide near the end, but that Superman was able to inspire the cynical establishment superheroes of the Justice Gang to stand up for what's right and save them when he couldn't. Because a lot of times Superman, more of he doesn't. A lot of times he doesn't necessarily have an arc in a lot of his stories. He's more of a flat character where he's sort of this paragon that gives other people arcs through his encouragement. I always love that. I think this was a pretty well done example. I think it could have been cool if maybe they could have leaned into that a bit more with the Justice Gang, being kind of like this, again, sign of like kind of a cynical, the cynicism of the contrast against, Clark's optimism, but still think it gets the job done. As far as like an overarching complaint I'd have, I think the movie could have stood to have a more narrow focus. I don't think the movie's messy like a lot of people say. I guess the analogy, not the most clever one, but I thought Gunn like proved he could successfully spin 20 plates at once, which is very cool. Not something I could do, but I think I would have preferred it if you just could have focused on spinning like 8 plates even better and with more flourish or whatever. Like if this was like if they did a Snyder Cut treatment, this was like a 4-hour thing, I don't think I would really have this issue. But because we're just running into like the inevitable constraint of a 2-hour runtime, and I love the the maximalist approach to it all, but and it worked great in All-Star Superman. What we're seeing here, but we only have 2 hours. I think I would have just preferred a bit more focus on just certain things more than others. Again, I was very partial to all the stuff with the geopolitics and stuff of that nature. Maybe could have focused more on that, or maybe just even focus on the opposite. I don't know. The point is, in 2 hours, I was left wanting more, which is never necessarily a bad thing, but I don't know, I wish I could have just had more focus. Oh yeah, and sorry, this last bit is a little bit more messy. But yeah, yeah, stylistically, I absolutely love how they did a great job of combining the wacky Silver Age style antics in a way, while still grounding itself in in the humanistic altruism core to this character. This is why I write and I do not perform. Jesus Christ, I'm trying to read. Also, the whole like Goku giving Superman Goku's origin story is kind of funny. Arguably, I've heard some people say it's kind of messed up in regards to the whole immigration allegory. I don't know how I feel about it. I kind of want to be, I don't know, my gut reaction when I hear that critique is I don't think it's actually I don't know how I feel about it. I don't think it ruins the movie. I wouldn't argue that, but I guess it's worth pointing out. One other thing I will say before I go is, surprisingly, this might be the least I've ever laughed at a James Gunn movie. The jokes didn't I probably laughed at like a very small percentage of the jokes. Not in the way where it's like any of them. I don't think I cringed at any of the jokes. It's just like it was just most of them were all flatline for me. But I still love the movie, so that's probably impressive, I guess. Anyway, I think I'll wind it down, and by wind it down, I don't know why I say wind it down because I'm done now. So I'm going to stop now. Back to you, Tanner.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Tim, save me, please.
So yeah, I've seen this movie 3 times now. The first time I went with Tanner and my fiance and Sydney and her boyfriend and Bennett and a couple other people. And we went to see it at Marcus de Pere, formerly Warenberg de Pere, which was the theater that James Gunn saw the 1978 Superman at when he was a kid. I just thought that it would be really cool to go see it in that theater for that, significance. And, it was also my childhood theater, so I just thought that was neat, too. Second time, I went to the Alamo, saw it with friend of the channel, Devin Dillon. And then third time was on Monday. I went to see it on IMAX. And I guess to sum up my feelings, I'll give the quote that Devin whispered to me when the credits started rolling when we watched it together. Snyder fans must be rolling in their fucking graves. That shit was amazing. Yeah, no, this is an awesome movie. Just kind of get into my general thoughts. One thing, and Rein kind of talked about this a little bit, but I was definitely not expecting a fucking Netanyahu stand-in in this movie. Yeah, this really does get as close as you can get to an Israel-Palestine commentary in a movie funded by the Pentagon. So James Gunn, braver than the troops. And I think it takes some really interesting approaches with that, and like Rein said, I think that's definitely where I felt the most emotional too. And like I felt a tinge of sadness each time I watched it, just knowing that like in this version of the world they have superheroes to save them, and things are just kind of fucked in the real world. So that just kind of brings a tinge of sadness to me when I watch it. But I do appreciate, that sort of hopeful angle. It makes this a pleasant watch, and I think he's depicted really interestingly. I think just making him this hopeful figure is such a breath of fresh air after the Snyderverse. And something that I kind of jokingly said after the movie to Austin was a good picture, hardly any killing, which I think something that's very good about that is that when somebody is killed in this movie, you fucking feel it. When the Indian guy gets assassinated by Lex, that shit was like pin drop silence.
They went there, yeah.
Yeah, like that. You felt that when that happened. There's just so much impact there, and yeah, it's just very fun seeing Superman be this both hopeful figure and also just kind of embracing the silliness that comes with that character. Like I think that David Corenswet Superman could easily take Henry Cavill Superman, because like Henry Cavill Superman just has like the cool powers, like the flying and the super strength and the laser eyes. David Corenswet's, he's got all that, but he has also got like the super breath and the super spins. He's got a super dog. He's got the power of friendship. He's taking that fight easy. Yeah, just had a lot of fun with that depiction of the character. Yeah, all of James Gunn's isms are a lot of fun here. I do kind of get that point that you're making of James Gunn often is sort of he does like the underdog story a lot, but I do think that he just absolutely understands the assignment with this character. And I did also get very emotional with the stuff with Ma and Pa Kent. When they first came onto the screen with those thick Midwest accents, I was like, oh yeah, this is from the director of Slither, 100%. Thoughts are a little bit scattered, but yeah, absolutely dug this. I'm excited to see the direction this world goes in. James Gunn clearly has a strong vision for this, and we're just at movie one, so there's still so much opportunity to grow from here. So I'll leave it at that. Movie one, pretty good. Back to you, Taylor.
All right. My time to shine. Hello.
Get comfy.
The Man of Tomorrow. The living embodiment of hope. The last son of Krypton. The Man of Steel. Kal-El. Clark Kent. Superman. The big blue guy has had a lot of names and nicknames over the year, but none embody him better than the one he was first given. Superman. Superman. In James Gunn's DCU, where its chapter 1 is called Gods and Monsters, Superman represents the most powerful god of them all, and simultaneously the most fearsome monster of them all. The man that can do anything. The man that is so super that he is sort of running circles around the rest of us. The most powerful metahuman of them all, as the opening crawl of this movie identifies him as. The most powerful metahuman is all. The most powerful human of all. The most supreme being of them all. Superman has a lot of powers, and he's a very powerful person. But the thing that James Gunn understands, I think, more than any filmmaker has in the last 50 years or so, is that what makes Superman special, this is not a unique observation, but what makes Superman special is not the super part. It's the man part. Superman has a speech at the end of this movie where the entire thesis of the character, at least Gunn's thesis of the character, is laid out. I'm as human as anybody. Wake up every morning and I get scared. I don't know what to do, but I put one foot in front of the other and I do it anyway, because that's what being human is, and that is his greatest strength. I said in the whole preamble that I have loved Superman since I was a kid, and my love for the character has only grown since childhood. I love Superman so much that I gaslight myself into really liking Man of Steel. I do think Man of Steel is a good movie with some flaws, but I do love Man of Steel. But boy, oh boy, do I fucking love James Gunn's Superman. And it could have been very easy for him to screw this up for me personally. Everyone around me knows just how stupidly excited I was for it. I was practically levitating at the thought of it. My hype was off the chart. So much so that when I got to see the movie a little early, the Tuesday before it came out because of the Amazon Prime early screenings, the first message I sent when it came out to mess with everyone was to say it didn't live up to my expectations. Then I drove home and sent the second message, which is it blew them out of the fucking water, because this movie is everything I have ever wanted from a Superman movie. David Corenswet embodies the character the best anyone ever has since Christopher Reeve, and at times, dare I say, maybe even better. I know those are bold words. Those are very bold words. Christopher Reeve is amazing, and he is still probably better, but Corenswet comes pretty damn close. There are, unfortunately, depending on how you see it, aren't a lot of scenes where he gets to play the duality of Clark Kent and Superman. He's mostly in the Superman suit for a lot of the movie, which to me was actually kind of refreshing for a superhero movie. I feel like a lot of superhero movies lately, they spend a lot of time out of the suit, and I appreciate that he spends most of his time in the suit. But the one scene we get to see him play Clark Kent, he actually takes a different approach than Reeves did. When Reeve played Superman, Clark Kent, he was more bumbling, oaf, tried to shrink, hide his stature. While I noticed when Corenswet's Kent, he stands up taller. He actually deepens his voice instead of raising it. It's an interesting contrast, I think, by, you know, trying to differentiate himself from a Superman as much as possible. I think there's something interesting there. But when he's playing Superman, boy, oh boy. A lot of it is the writing, of course. Superman has a certain manner of speaking I found really refreshing. He never really curses much. I think the only time I recall him cursing is when he says super shit, and that is quoting someone. Quotables.
Yeah, like literally at the beginning of the movie, he's like, Crypto, what the hey?
He says things like, what the hey? Good gosh, there has to be a better way to do this. Golly. He says a lot of stuff like that.
Darn it,
David Corenswet is perfectly cast as Superman, especially as James Gunn's Superman. His Superman, he stumbles, he falls, but at the end of the day, he is joining everyone in the sun. And I find that very powerful. He gets his ass kicked a lot, but then he pulls off these incredible, amazing moments that, quite frankly, had my jaw on the floor when he uses his super breath to pull everyone away from the black hole. When he is so focusing on saving people during the kaiju fight, while the Justice Gang is more just focused on getting rid of the damn thing. That beautiful, damn near Spielbergian shot near the end when Superman has to fight the Raptors, and, you know, he goes up there, he punches a bunch of them, then, you know, a bunch of them hold themselves onto it, and he spins them off of him, and then into that amazing shot where he's just doing that 360 laser vision thing while Crypto is pulling guys into the path of the being, all in one continuous shot, is amazing. I said earlier how I'm a big fan of Man of Steel, and part of the reason why I like Man of Steel is that I don't think the flying has been better in a Superman movie. Until now. James Gunn said he was very inspired by the way Zack Snyder depicted flight. He also said he was inspired by the way the fighter jets were shot in Top Gun Maverick, and I could see both influences on display here. There are times where the camera is desperately, quite frankly, failing to keep up with Superman as he is flying. There's a real kinetic energy to the filmmaking here that I have noticed Gunn has picked up since the Suicide Squad, and I think it fits Superman's character perfectly, because the thing that makes Superman struggle is the fact that he does have to be the man to pick up all the pieces, to pick up everything. And much like how the movie is quote-unquote all over the place, it's just a week in the life of Superman. I love that he's being pulled in 37 billion directions, because the most powerful being on Earth would be pulled in 37 billion directions regardless of how difficult that is. That's the job. Praising a lot of Corenswet here, but I think the core of making any Superman movie work was shown to us in Dick Donner's 1978 Superman. It's not that you have to get Superman right. It's not that you have to get Clark right. It's that you have to get Clark and Lois right. Rachel Brosnahan is an amazing Lois Lane. She slips into the role perfectly. Her and Corenswet has amazing chemistry. I think it's a common complaint people have with modern superhero movies, that the love story has feeling like it's fallen by the wayside, and when it is there, it feels like an afterthought. It doesn't really matter. The chemistry here is off the charts. I believe that these people were fully in love with each other. Between the amazing interview scene between the two of them, the scene at the apartment when there's an interdimensional imp in the background, and of course when they finally kiss at the end with the greatest superhero movie kiss, dare I say, since 2002 Spider-Man. When they both kiss and falling up into the sky like that. It's just so amazing. I've heard some complaints that Lois Lane doesn't have that much screen time, and that's a fair complaint. I guess if I were to complain about the movie in general, it's just I wish I had more of it. I want more. I sort of like whereas Rein was saying, I would love to see a 4-hour version of this movie, just because I didn't want it to end. I've seen it 6 times after all. But of course, more than Superman, more than Lois Lane, Lex Luthor is something you have to get right. And I was hesitant to say that Corenswet is the best Superman we've ever seen. I feel comfortable saying this full-throatedly. Nicholas Hoult is by far the best Lex Luthor we've ever gotten in a movie. And I like Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor a lot. Gene Hackman was a coward that refused to shave his head. Nicholas Hoult isn't. And a man I don't think has ever been more bald on screen before. It is hard to imagine a more bald man than Nicholas Hoult in this movie. He is so bald, I'm pretty sure there is one shot in this movie where the sun reflects off of his head, causing a lens flare in the camera. I am not joking, I'm pretty sure that happened. And it's more than just Holt's wonderful portrayal of it that is just dripping in this seething jealousy and envy and hatred, but the way that he is written. I think a lot of superhero movies have their villains have these very understandable motivations. And while I do like that, it's kind of nice to have a villain in the movie that's just an abject piece of shit. And Lex Luthor is that in spades. He just wants to kill Superman, and that is quite frankly all he gives a shit about. Though, as someone who recently rewatched the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, I appreciated that his plan, once again, revolved around real estate. That is something that he does in all these movies. It happened in Superman 1, 2, 4, Returns, and now this one. Kind of neat. I'm praising the core trio of the cast because they are the three members of the cast that have the most screen time. They are the most important part of the movie, and they are done brilliantly. But there's a bunch to love here. The cast all around is perfect. I had my doubts about Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner. I was wrong. That guy is Guy Gardner. He encompasses the character perfectly. Mr. Terrific, standout character. Maybe the best action scene in the movie is Mr. Terrific's Oner, which is one of my favorite James Gunn action scenes ever. It's definitely up there. It features the one real needle drop of the movie that I really love. Brilliant. But the thing I really want to touch upon here is the thing that I think has been a bit controversial among Superman fans, which is that they made his parents evil. I think they've given themselves wiggle room to retcon that later if they want to. Even though it seems like James Gunn's very firm in that being the thing that his parents are evil.
James Gunn's exact words were, "You're shit out of luck."
The movie portrays them as evil, as like, you know, go rule this planet, like reign over them. This is partially inspired by a Superman comic called The Birthright. In that comic, Lex Luthor reveals to Superman that he's an alien. Superman didn't know this. And that Superman, his parents sent him here to do evil. Now, it later turns out that Lex Luthor fabricated that message in the comic. But in here, he's right. A lot of people have problems with that. I'm personally fine with that, if only because my favorite scene of the movie is when Clark goes back to Smallville, spend time with his parents, and this whole movie, you know, ever since the reveal that Superman's parents sent him here to do evil, Clark's been getting the shit beat out of him mentally and physically, just absolutely pulverized. And he comes to his parents and he's like, my biological parents, they sent me here to do evil. I'm not who I thought I was. And I've noticed that every time I watch the movie, I almost speak along with Pa Kent when he says, your choices, your actions, that's what makes you who you are. And that moment in the movie, I think perfectly encapsulates what makes Superman an amazing character, which is the fact that he's the perfect embodiment of what superheroes are meant to be. A lot of people, either as a critique or a neutral observation, call superhero movies, superhero stories, power fantasies. I understand that. These are all powerful beings doing incredible feats of strength. I understand the instinct to call them power fantasies. That is not where my enjoyment of superhero movies, superhero stories derive from. Superhero movies are not, to me, power fantasies. They are benevolence fantasies. The idea that a character, a person that has these incredible powers, these incredible gifts, these incredible abilities, would use them to do good, would use them to save a girl when a bunch of pipes were about to explode into her, would use their powers to save a dog that was about to get stepped on by a 50-foot tall lizard, to save a squirrel that was about to get pulverized by debris. The idea that a person that had these powers would not use them to enrich themselves or to rule over us, but would instead use them to make us better, would instead use these powers to help us. The benevolence fantasy, to me, is an ideal to inspire to. It's the embodiment of our highest aspirations. Superheroes are these figures that make us want to race, stumble, fall, crawl, until finally we join them in the sun. We will stumble, we will fall, but in time we join them in the sun. We join them in this benevolence and these powers. Superman is the ultimate embodiment of using your powers, your abilities to do good. And in a world full of very powerful people doing very evil things, it is nice to enjoy and watch stories about characters that do the right thing. In 1978, Dick Donner proudly declared, "You will believe a man can fly." And for the first time in 47 years, I believe a man can fly again. Thank you, James Gunn and the entire cast and crew of Superman, for making what is one of the most spectacular comic book movies, superhero movies of all time. Those are my overall thoughts on Superman. See, Cody, you would not want to follow me after that.
No, dude, you make me feel like shit right now. I'm over here like, yeah, this movie kind of whatever. And you're like, this movie is everything to me. I'm like,
okay, we're going to have plenty more to say about Superman, including some of the political allegories that I kind of want to get into here. We'll get into that after a brief commercial break. See you in a minute.
We won't be intimidated by criminal threats. Law and order must and will prevail.
Welcome back from that commercial break for another commercial. See that shit behind me with all the colors? That's a movie palette. The one behind me is the one for Punch Drunk Love. The one above Tim is for the movie Mandy. Basically what it does is it takes all the colors from a primary frame of the movie, chops it up into these little bits, puts it on a canvas for you to hang up and enjoy. It works in minimalist spaces. It also works in maximalist spaces, which, let's be honest, my space is very maximalist. More maximalist than the movie we're talking about today. You can probably get one for Superman 1978, Superman The Quest for Peace, and eventually when this movie comes out, I'm sure you can get one for Superman 2025. But if the movie you want isn't on there, you can, for a little extra money, you can get a custom-made movie palette. So go ahead, add it to your cart, but before you finish checking out, enter the code SQUAD15 to save 15% on your order. Thank you so much for listening, and back to the show. Okay, so a big thing about this movie that people have been observing, and it's not without merit, is that the Baravian Jarimpor stuff is very reminiscent of the Palestine-Israel conflict. Tim alluded to that in his review. I'm pretty sure I heard Rein talk about it, or I'm just thinking about him and I talking to each other about it. Cody didn't mention it. That's fine. I don't know why I singled you out like that. That was mean. I also didn't bring it up in my review.
I'm just gonna stay over
and
here.
the reason I didn't bring it up in my review is I wanted to save it for general discussion, because I don't want to push back on people taking that away from it. I just want to say that I don't think it's a perfect metaphor. I think it's very likely that he was inspired by that conflict. I also think it's incredibly likely he was equally inspired by the Russia-Ukraine conflict that is also happening. Matter of fact, that seems like a more obvious inspiration to me, especially since Belarus seems kind of like a pretty clear Russia stand-in more than anything. I think it's possible Gunn was influenced by that stuff. I think it's possible that Gunn has anti-Zionist beliefs. I am just saying I do not think it's as perfect as a fit as people are saying. Mostly because, I don't know, I guess I'm a little nervous about equating watching a superhero movie to activism, which I think, I'm not saying Tim or Rein, I'm not saying you guys are doing this. Yeah. I am saying some people want consuming art to be the only politicking they have to do. Which is not, I don't know. Just a minor pushback. I'm not, obviously I got that out of it too. I saw that there's some very specific imagery that is very reminiscent of the 2018 Gaza border crisis. You just Google that if you want a reminder. So I think the influence is there. I just don't think it's, I don't know. I think it's equally possible James Gunn did it by accident as he did it on purpose. That's just me. I think it being accidental and purposeful are equally likely. But Rein, go ahead.
My piece on that is I did mean to include. Yeah, it does. I think it works better as a Israel-Palestine analogy, but there's a lot there as for Russia-Ukraine. I guess the broader point is it does. Sadly, this issues like this. It's not. It's kind of a human constant throughout history. A ton of places in the world where it's going on, like Congo and South Sudan as well, to where the metaphor could work to some to varying degrees. I always thought that either Gunn really was either like subconscious, just like only subconsciously influenced, or just like barely at all influenced, and just because it kind of works as a metaphor for oppressed people's period by a larger their larger neighbor. Or B, which I think is more interesting, is that like he knows, like he was like, okay, there's if I start being, because as far as I'm aware, he's never really spoke on the conflict, the real life conflict.
I don't think he has.
I am curious if his mind, like I think it would be interesting if like he actually was like super pro Palestine, but his mindset was, which I don't know necessarily would be the right thing to do in his shoes, but maybe I would be curious if his mindset is like, well, okay, if I actually start being vocal about my beliefs, then Warner Bros. Is really going to be on my ass about this analogy here. So I gotta, the more I stay quiet, the further I can have plausible deniability to like make this metaphor as like overt as possible. Again, if that is actually, I don't know if that's the case, but it is interesting to think about. And even if it was, even if it is the case, not necessarily saying like, oh, if you're a big Hollywood director, it's you're doing more good keeping quiet so you can make the message more overt, or I don't know. It's just kind of like just a thought I had just had.
Yeah, I did send a letterbox review to Tanner that was just like, I never thought I would see Dora the Explorer assassinate Netanyahu in this movie. Beautiful. There's a couple behind the scenes things that I read that I wanted to bring up. One of them was we kept bringing up the squirrel thing. So apparently in like the first early test screenings, audiences fucking hated the squirrel thing. And so they told Gunn to cut it, and then he made a version of it where the squirrel scene was cut, and he just goes, "Man, I miss the squirrel. I'm gonna bring the squirrel back." And I love that. He remembers
he owns DC, and he can do what he wants.
It's interesting that the squirrel thing he brought back, because the one thing I've heard about test screenings that he cut out that I think the movie's amazing as it is. I don't need this, but apparently as recently as like March, April, May, this movie had Days of Weeks title cards in it. The beginning of the movie with him getting his ass kicked by the Hammer of Baravia, that was Sunday. The Daily Planet stuff was Monday. The Kaiju stuff was Tuesday. Getting imprisoned was Wednesday. Breaking out of the prison was Thursday. And then saving Metropolis was Friday. Yeah, Solomon Grundy.
If I was president.
And that structure is still there, considering it's a slightly weird thing. I knew about this going in, so it didn't distract me. There are a lot of times in the movie where it just cuts to black and then next scene happens, which is a slightly odd transition thing, except for the fact that the cut to black to me is clearly a stand-in for the title cards. I just want to know why we got rid of the title cards. If the cut to black thing was the replacement, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm also bringing that up because Cody, Rein, you guys mentioned the movie maybe being a little too much, too fast, too whatever. I wonder if maybe that would have added a little structure that could have helped the movie for you guys. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think I had too much of an issue with the structure of the movie, just kind of like what it was about.
I think that's a very subtle thing that could have done different. That could have changed the pacing a little bit.
Because that's what they start with the opening crawl. It's kind of like a remnant of that, with like the few days later this and then a few hours later this happened. Like I kind of like that. That was like a little interesting way of saying it without having to show the origins, because I know you didn't want to do that.
Rein, you wanted to say something?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think I was nodding along, but maybe accidentally.
Oh, my bad.
indicated.
Yeah.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I do think that would have been interesting to have the days of the weeks thing, and like I forgot to bring this up, but like my take on there being so much stuffed into this movie is like I feel like that's the point, because it's showing how much shit Superman has to deal with, and like to the point
And that's what I was getting at in my review.
To the point that like at the end when he is like trying to save the Jar and Poor people, but he keeps getting pulled into having to solve this dimensional rift thing. He finally just like delegates it to the Justice Gang. So I think that's sort of an interesting angle of just like showing how packed Superman's schedule is. Like, I made a music video for a class using footage of the Fleischer cartoons because they're public domain, and that's kind of the point I was arriving at with that music video too. And I was, just like 4 minutes, but he has to solve like 10 fucking problems. Superman's a busy guy.
Yeah, a couple of things I want to build off of what you guys have been saying. Number one, I love the opening crawl thing with the 3 centuries ago, 3 decades ago, 3 years ago, 3 weeks ago, 3 days ago, 3 hours ago,
3 minutes,
3 minutes ago thing.
Mm-hmm.
Except you might notice 3 decades, 3 years, 3 weeks. You go, huh? Why'd they skip 3 months? Until the apartment interview scene with Lois and Clark, where at the very beginning, Clark says he started dating 3 months ago.
Ooh. I didn't catch that.
Oh.
Very nice subtle thing I appreciated. And number 2, with how he delegates the Boravia Jaranpur stuff to the other heroes. What I really love about that is how those characters explicitly said, especially Guy Gardner, which by the way, most Guy Gardner goddamn in the world in the comics, for whenever he doesn't want to do something, just say my vows won't let me. I'm pretty sure he explicitly does that in the comics. It's the most Guy Gardner thing ever, and I love it. But number 2, they explicitly say they don't want to get involved. They shouldn't get involved. That's the whole point about, that Grant Morrison quote about, an ideal to aspire to. Superman is the hero to not just the man, the oppressed, but to the other heroes. And he inspires the other heroes to do the same type of good they do. I found that stuff really powerful. I know some people were just wanting, especially the stuff with the flag, when the kids start chanting Superman and everyone starts chanting Superman, they wanted Superman to go in and save the day.
Yeah.
But I think it was just as powerful for him to inspire the other heroes to do it.
No, they got instead.
My brain completely agrees with what you just said, but every time I watch it, my heart is still like, I kind of want Superman to save him though. Like I agree, I understand, and yet, but yeah, I completely understand that point, and I think it's good. One other behind the scenes thing I wanted to mention. This is actually behind the scenes of a different movie, because apparently David Corenswet got the call that he was Superman
on
when he was
Twisters.
on Twisters, and so the cast and crew did this whole video congratulating him, just jumping up and down, screaming. Brandon Perea just goes, "That's our Superman, baby! That's our Superman!" And as soon as there is footage of Bizarro available online, I'm gonna cut that with him going, "We got twins! Twins!"
Okay.
True story. Cody, I'll let you. I just want to say real quick. when Ultraman first took his mask off and there was that close-up reveal, guys, I shit you not, for the first couple of seconds I went, is that fucking Henry Cavill?
Every time I see him, I think he looks like Elijah Wood.
Like,
I think it's the hair.
That first close-up of Ultraman with his mullet, for some reason, he looks... I think Corenswet does look a lot like Cavill.
Crazy.
But that was like the most like, oh, okay. For a second there, I thought Gunn was doing something insane. I think it would have been really funny if he said the stupid, shittier Superman clone is played by Henry Cavill.
That would have sent the Snyder fans to the fucking...
I don't think Henry Cavill would have said no to that paycheck, though. To be real.
No, that's the thing. I think Cavill would say yes. Secretly, I don't think Cavill liked playing Superman as much as he said he did.
I can see that.
He could have been paid to beat the shit out of Superman, though. It could have worked out. Also,
Why?
I'm glad there's not like an integral system. It's just like 7B, 5C, bro. It's just a fighting game. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
But I wanted to bring this up. Dude, what the fuck is up with this year? And films with like duplicate doppelganger shit. First, I remember seeing like an article about like Duplicity. I don't know if anyone remembers that movie. I was like, all right, whatever. And then Mickey 17, which, you know, I watched on this. And I was like, wow, that's cool. Then Sinners does the same, like, similar thing. I'm like, wow, what a coincidence. And there's a few other movies that are, like, lesser known that are part. And then Superman
excuse you, lesser known? How dare you forget about the Robert De Niro masterpiece, The Alto Knights, where Robert De Niro plays two different characters that are not related to each other or at all. They are two completely different people, but he plays both of them.
Alto Knights as well. And then Superman. I do not know what's Hollywood. Personally, I'm not, as someone whose first ever short film was literally doing this, I'm not complaining. However, I just want to know why they decided 2025 is, I think the technology's there. Let's just duplicate the shit out of people.
I know why. 2 years ago in 2023, a little movie called The Flash came out, and everyone and their mother went, we can do better.
Yeah, well, I feel like most people said that. I feel like we said that collectively.
To be fair, the twin effects in that movie are pretty good.
Speaking of things that
I did not notice that in The Flash when I first watched it, and then when I rewatched it, well, I didn't rewatch it, I rewatched scenes, I went, what the fuck? I don't remember it looking like this.
Interesting.
Rein and I are the only people I know that kind of liked The Flash.
I think better here than The Flash. The VFX is pretty good too in this movie.
Oh,
I think I technically like it.
I wonder why. It's almost like they wrapped a year ago.
True. Wow.
It's almost like they gave a long post-production process. Anyway, the next Spider-Man movie's coming out July 31st, and it starts filming next Friday.
Aren't they saying they're going to delay it?
No, I mean...
David Tiger's like, I don't know. Next year.
Maybe. It's coming out the same day as The Odyssey, I think, so they probably should.
Interesting.
I don't know.
That movie that already sold out tickets?
Yeah, you know what? We only have so much time left. We're talking a lot about the world that Superman's been setting up here. I don't know how about Cody feels about this, but the vibe I'm getting from Rein and Tim is that we kind of agree that it's kind of cool to be excited and see where a cinematic universe is building up again.
Yeah. Like, I think what makes me excited about this is it sounds like the individual stories are going to be more focused on like that individual character's world, which I think was sort of what they were doing at first with the MCU, and then it just became everything has to tie into everything. And so I hope that they stay true to like letting a character have his own stories, maybe a little bit of crossover here and there, and then like big event movies like Justice League or whatever. But I hope it's not like you have to watch Wonder Woman 5 to understand what's happening in Booster Gold or whatever.
Yes, Rein?
Yes, I realized I agree with everything with what Tim said, but I did want to mention, I guess, while we're talking just about the broader universe, something I really so like Tanner, I am still an MCU enjoyer which is funny because I describe like most of the movies as just like okay, but yeah, here I am still hyped. The
crossover still gets you excited. It still works
but,
for me.
So as a overall MCU liker, enjoyer, man, I will say, yeah, number one issue with the MCU, obviously, like, I guess, like, the broader, like, how it impacts the industry, but as far as, like, the actual, like, films themselves go, the one thing I really, really hate about the MCU, like, just straight up hate, is how, I think just most of them just look dog shit. Like, the vast majority, they bore me so much, like, on a technical level. So I'm just, like, delighted when I heard the news thing about how, like, James Gunn's like, oh, well, there's going to be, like, no house style for across these films, which is great, because, like, why would you want a Superman movie, and a Batman movie, and a Dead Man movie, and Booster Gold? Why would you want all those movies to look the same? They should look different. They should have a unique style.
Yeah.
Like I was praising Agatha just for like, oh, costumes. What? Oh, look. A faded. They did a dissolve. Crazy. I didn't know you could do this stuff in a movie.
I thought they only let Sam Raimi do this.
Yeah. So
they let him have all the fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to see them make some cool, interesting movies coming up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like
Cody, I could tell you wanted to say something, and I think you're coming from a universe skeptic perspective, aren't you?
You immediately threw me under the bus again. Under a sea of buses.
It wasn't because I assumed you didn't. It's because I didn't know.
Now, granted, I the problem is that you're right. Unfortunately, I don't really care. However, here's my thing. Let me put it this way. I'm just glad DC gets to make films again, man. Like, I think it's gonna feel less exhausting when it's not just only Marvel, because the last few years have felt so nauseating. It just being Marvel, and then The Flash. Like, I feel like this is gonna be good competition. I feel like Marvel will actually, well, we'll see how the end of this sort of Marvel cinematic universe is gonna go.
Robert Downey Jr., Dr. Doom!
Dr. Doom! But I don't know. I'm just glad DC gets to make films again. Even if I don't really care about the cinematic universe, I think this thing has run its course to hell and back. If it means more DC films, sure. I'm down.
I think the universe. I think a big appeal of comic book superhero stories is the crossover appeal, but a big appeal of it is the fact that all these different types of stories exist in the same universe. I do like the Marvel stuff, but I do think it's telling that I get the most excited when they stray from their formula at all, which is why I'm kind of getting excited for Fantastic Four even more, because a lot of critics that are MCU skeptics seem to really like this one. So, just putting that out there. So James Gunn's approach to it, where well, first off, movies aren't getting greenlit until there's a finished script. They're not going into production without a finished script. Sorry, they'll get greenlight without a finished one, but they're not going into production without a finished script.
How this isn't the standard, I have no clue.
Right, because unfortunately, for the most part, more often than not, it has worked for Marvel. It made them a lot of money. It has worked for them financially. For better or for worse, it has worked for them financially. Even quality-wise, the original Iron Man, they didn't have a script, man.
Yeah.
That's a famous thing with Iron Man. Iron Man was like almost entirely improvised. And even a lot of MCU skeptics think Iron Man is awesome.
No, that's right.
Yeah, see what I'm saying? It can work. It just, you shouldn't, that shouldn't be your go-to. But I'm also interested that, you know, there's not going to be the house style. I'm expecting Supergirl to be really different. I'm expecting Supergirl to feel almost Guardians of the Galaxy-y. I recently got the book that it's apparently being based off, which is Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. I'm going to start reading that soon. I'm really excited to read that. But then let's talk about the fact that, yeah, the next DCU movie is Supergirl, but we're getting 2 DCU movies next year. And the second one's a $45 million budgeted R-rated comic book horror movie called Clayface.
Hell fucking yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in.
And this is going to exist in the same universe as this Superman movie.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So with that being said, Clayface is a Batman villain. We have just the tiniest bit of time yet, so I'm just going to put it out there. I know it's probably not going to happen. I know that half of the creatives involved don't want it to happen. I know that the actor himself probably doesn't want it to happen, but could maybe be convinced with enough dollar signs. I think I really want, and I know a bunch of people are going to say, oh, but they're so different. I would really love to see David Corenswet's Superman interact with Robert Pattinson's Batman. Yeah. And I know a lot of people saying, oh, but they're too different. They're too different. That's the point. That's the whole reason World's Finest Superman Batman crossovers work. It's because they're too different. Also, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if I want an Andy Muschietti Batman movie. That's also a big part of it. I think I want a Matt Reeves Batman movie in this universe. And I understand it'll be kind of hard to, like, the first Batman movie will borderline make zero sense with the fact that, superheroes have existed for 300 years, but none of them are in fucking Gotham.
No one wants to go there.
Yes,
no one wants to go there. I saw someone make this stupid AI-generated photo where they put, like, a traffic sign that said, no metahumans. And I'm like, we're gonna Jim Crow South our way into making the Batman make sense? Also, fucking super villains are gonna see that sign and go, my bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
what were you saying, Rein? Really quick, because we're running low on time.
No, I was about to say I have so much I could say about that topic, but I do not. I am out of energy. But for some reason, I felt the need to say I have a lot to say, even though I'm not going to say anything. So I will stop.
Thank you, Rein. Very cool.
Is there anything anyone wants to get out quickly in our general thoughts general discussion before we move to final thoughts?
Something I didn't bring up during the VFX is that the way he gets fucked up by kryptonite looks really cool. I genuinely
fantastic.
Because like in other shows, he's like, "Oh, the Green Rock," and this one he's like, like he's fucking dying.
He's like, "I'm fucking dying.
I'm fighting for my fucking life.
Fight for my fucking life." I don't think we should reference that. Now that I've done that.
With that out of the way,
let's move on to final thoughts. Rein, final thoughts on this movie.
A movie I strongly like, probably even love. And I'm sure I will very likely love it more once I finally get around to seeing it again. Back to you, Tanner.
Cody, final thoughts on this movie you fucking hate, despise, and want to burn.
Final thoughts: Superman and the Mole Men is surprisingly really good.
Let's fucking go!
Really good film. And you can watch it right now on Daily Motion if you know the links. But
is it on Daily Motion, really?
Hell yeah, it is. But since our cringe audience doesn't like older movies, I saw the view count on the Frankenstein film. You can just go watch Superman. It'll do the
Frankenstein
job.
one's doing good numbers. What are you talking about?
Not good enough. It needs a...
Every highlight I released from the Frankenstein one, and I released 6 of them, have all gotten like over 1,000 views.
And we need more. More! Anyways, yeah, movie's alright.
Final thoughts.
Yeah, had a great time with this. Enjoyed it after seeing it 3 times. Definitely meant to be seen on the big screen. Check it out while it's still in theaters. I'm sure it will be for a while because it seems to be doing pretty damn good. Super good movie. Back to you, Tanner.
Good stuff. Good stuff. My time to shine. Hello. It's my favorite movie of the year. It's everything I've ever wanted from a movie like this. The more I think about it, the more I love it. I think it's perfectly paced, much like the subject matter it's depicting. The pace just it's like a rhythm, a rhyme with the subject matter. And of course, when I say these things, I'm talking about EFIS, baby! Look at these EFIS trading cards! We fucking love EFIS! No, I'm kidding. I'm actually not going to do that this time, even though I just did. I fucking love Superman. It's everything I fucking wanted from a Superman movie, man. David Corenswet's perfect. James Gunn has done an amazing job. I fucking love Superman, and I just got to say, it's really super, man.
Say that again?
You! The person watching / listening to this episode of Bomb Squad Matinee, if you're listening on any of the audio platforms we're on, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. How about you go on down below and leave us a review? It helps boost us in the algorithm or something. I don't know. I just work here. And if you are listening, how about you mosey on down over their Patreon? The $5 tier gets you access to commentary tracks. And the $10 tier gets you access to a shout out. So my mom, Tiny Craft, thank you so much for contributing to the channel. We really appreciate it. And if you're done giving us money on Patreon, or you give us money on Patreon, how about you go on over to our merch shop? That's right, bombsquadproductions.shop. Hats, t-shirts, hoodie. You can buy the shirt that Cody's wearing. You cannot buy the shirt the rest of us are wearing. We cannot sell those things on our website. We would be sued.
You can buy the
Bomb Squad stuff on the website. Yeah, exactly. It's pretty cool. And finally, if you are watching on YouTube, thank you oh so very much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. How about you mosey on down over the comment section below and let me know, what do you think of Superman 2025? Do you think James Gunn nailed it, or did he fuck it up? Do you actually like Man of Steel? Are you excited for the future of the DCU? And finally, isn't it crazy that Jimmy Olsen saves the day because he slings mad pipe? Comment below and let me know. And while you're down there, hit the like button so you know how much you like us. Hit the subscribe button so you know how much you love us. Hit the bell icon to know exactly when we upload new videos. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tune in next week when we go from one Silver Age throwback superhero movie to another, when we talk about the Fantastic Four First Steps. Should be a lot of fun. We're really excited about it. We typically don't do a new movie that soon. I fucked up making the schedule, so God willing, we can all see it in time. We'll see next week, or maybe we'll talk about something else because we weren't able to see it in time. We'll see. But right now, the plan is Fantastic Four. We'll see you then. It'll be a lot of fun. Cody's gonna hate that one too, so make sure you tune in for that. We'll see you then. Bye.
Farewell.